Welcome to BUNIYAAD podcast by Dr. Monica Nagpal. We did not inherit this world like this. Then how can we give this to our next generation in this form? We need to reflect mindfully on our core values and make conscious efforts towards protecting the planet and also achieve all sustainable development goals. With BUNIYAAD, I, Monica Nagpal, will bring to fore sustainability champions who are striving to bring back harmony with the nature and also dignity of each life. Namaskar दोस्तों. Today again we are here with yet another episode of BUNIYAAD. Creating a sustainable future, laying the foundation of sustainable living. And today I have wonderful Sankalita joining us from Bangladesh. Welcome, Sankalita.
Thank you, Monica. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to speaking to you.
Wonderful. Sankalita is an entrepreneur and she's working in the space of sustainability. She's actually doing so much which will unfold slowly. She's a sustainability advocate and she will share her journey with us. A very inspiring one, how one person can really sow that seed and make so much difference in the world. So, Sankalita, I will request you to please introduce yourself now.
Hey, thank you, Monica. Monica said it almost all, but just to also sort of add to that yes, my current passion, my current work relates to sustainability, and it's a journey that I've had to come here. Because I did not train for it. I'm trained as a corporate lawyer, actually, and I did work in that space. But also, I have lived in 3 different countries apart from India, where I was born and brought up. And because of the fact that I lived in different countries, it was also actually, I would like to look at it as a boon because I got to practice and do many different roles. Explore many different professional areas, which probably I would not have otherwise if I would have stayed on track in my trained job if I was in India. So it's been a journey, and I've been in the space of sustainability for the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, and I feel like it's my space now. I feel most comfortable, most passionate, and most inspired, being in this space. Yes.
Wonderful. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And this is just a beginning. We are going to know how, just as I said, one person. So she has an initiative which she started just as a citizen, contributive citizen, aware citizen, how we also start to contribute. So I will just ask her, when did she stumble on sustainability first? How did it all happen?
Oh, actually, I mean, if I were to put a time to it, it would be the year 2020. But I think the seeds of it were sown much earlier. So I became a parent in the year 2017. I became a mother in the year 2017. But even before that, for the longest time, I was very hesitant about bringing another child into this world. And I remember my conversations with my friends and peers when we used to talk about it. I used to always say that, this world is not going in a very correct way. We are going to have shortages, maybe of water, maybe famines. And there was this niggling, discomfort with me that do I want to bring a child into this world where I cannot control many of the things that are going to happen, maybe wars, maybe famines and things. And I know that my friends and peers looked at me with a lot of skepticism because becoming a parent is something that we all naturally want to do. And it's a natural progression. So it did start. So I did become a parent compared to my peers much later in life. I think by the time I could sort of get the courage, the patience, and and I evolved that, that if that's something that scares me, then I need to do something for it rather than, take it as something because of which I will not become a parent.
I can say it in one word that you became more hopeful, probably. That is why you were able
to I think so. Yeah. And that definitely is it's something that I see myself after becoming a parent, that I am much more, I do feel I'm more powerful, actually. because for the child, you would want to do a lot of things, and suddenly which felt not doable now becomes doable. So as I said, in 2020, then before that in 2018-19, I had worked, I was leading a incubator accelerator where I had the chance to meet many young minds who were coming up with these lovely ideas and becoming entrepreneurs, taking the plunge. So that have said, oh, okay, so there's no age to when you can become an entrepreneur. And then when I wanted to become an entrepreneur, I said the space of sustainability is what I want to, because that's something that I've been so apprehensive about.
Right.
So that's when in 2020, I launched my initiative, Circular Innovations, and that was the beginning. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And what a lovely name, no? Circular innovations. No, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
That is what circular is all about.
Absolutely. And we did experiment with a lot of names. Of course, I reached out to a lot of family friends. Okay, let's look at names, but then just thought of keeping it very simple,
Yeah.
because also the space is evolving and you don't want to restrict yourself, because it's not only about A or B when you're talking about
Yes.
sustainability. It's a
Yes.
lot of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is what I always keep telling when I get here guests from different SDGs. No, every time we talk about a different SDG here, but if you generally, for a layman, SDGs means only a climate change, or for that matter, probably now it is most on waste segregation, which we are also going to talk about, but in a little more different way today. But except these two, there are so many other SDGs which we are having, which need to have that kind of awareness, and also that it is all related. It is not segregated in a simple different way. It is all integrated actually. So if we are working on one, that is also good enough, that at least you know one and you want to work on that one aspect of the SDGs, because everything is so much related. So now I will ask you, Sankalita, that how is your company or your enterprise or your endeavor creating kind of an impact in the society? What is it all about?
So, so when I decided that I want to work in this space, of course, as I said, the space is huge. So you can't be there everywhere, So I had to narrow down my area of intervention, so to speak. So I thought that plastics waste and waste is one area that I want to focus on. And again, waste, when we say, it's again a very big, homogeneous term for a lot of things. So again, we thought, why not plastics? We want to focus on plastics. So,
Yes.
segregation, as you already mentioned, is something that we don't do at all. I mean, I know, for example, I started my venture here in Dhaka in Bangladesh, where I'm currently living and working. So it is natural that when I want to do something, take the next step, start my, entrepreneurship journey, I do it here. So that's, and here it's segregation is not at all practiced. So I started telling my friends out here that why don't we segregate our waste, we are throwing it all together. Of course, I read up a lot. I educated myself, then educated them. And then immediately the question that came to me was that, okay, I'm going to segregate, but who's going to collect my waste in a segregated manner?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
That is,
that's what
yeah.
that would be just right. That's such a logical question. And
Hmm.
there's a very interesting anecdote to this. In fact, Bangladesh was actually one of the, I think, the first few countries ever to, take sort of initiatives in this area. So when I had come to Bangladesh in the year 2013, actually, where I stay, we had been given 3 baskets. Okay.
Hmm.
And there had been miking in the streets, and we had these baskets, yellow, green, and red. And
Right.
the miking in the streets told us that we need to separate or segregate our waste. So the yellow was for recyclables, the green, which had a lid, it was for the organic waste, and the red was for the hazardous or the sanitary waste,
Yeah.
And that time in 2013, I was still not very clued into the segregation of waste, okay? And before that, I had lived in Cairo, and I had just come from Cairo. And I'm originally from Bombay. So both these places, didn't have segregation at that time, 2013.
Yeah.
So I was very, very impressed that, wow, something that's being done from the city corporation. We got these buckets,
Yeah.
and there's miking. And I told my house staff that, please, let's segregate. And we actually did it for a month.
Hmm.
And then my house staff rebelled. They said, we are not doing it. I said, why? They said, please come down. So when we went
Oh,
down to the apartment blocks, when the waste is getting collected, we saw that the waste collector was actually putting everything into one. Because that one step had happened, that we were given baskets, we were told to segregate, but the next step in the link, or the next link in the chain, had not happened. That's not being
Absolutely,
collected in a
absolutely.
segregated manner. So when
Correct.
I started this, telling people to segregate, and they asked me this question, it immediately flashed back. I still have those buckets, by the way, which I'm now using for different purposes, but plastic is durable.
Yeah,
So they when they asked this question, I said, yes, I need to step up and provide the next level.
yeah.
So I started collecting from the doorsteps of the households. I got staff, they collected it. We hired a small place where we sort of sorted it again. And then
Mm,
we sort of linked to the recyclers, because
mm,
every grade of plastic has a different recycler. We linked
mm.
to them and we made sure that the plastic was disposed of responsibly. We talked up to people a lot about how to sort of segregate your plastic. In the sense, it's not just enough to keep your plastic separately. You need to rinse and dry it, so that
Yes,
it's
yes,
free of
absolutely.
contaminants and it can be
Yes,
recycled. So that has been a struggle area quite a bit.
yes,
But that's
yes.
how we started out, and that's what initially our offering was. It had its own struggles and journey, because I mean, this is something that I said. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur in this, but it's not an area that you really go for becoming an entrepreneur. In the sense, if somebody, I've been told many times, give a business plan, give a business plan, when I look for funding. But this is such a area that there's no easy business plan in
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and there are no easy returns. So putting in your money somewhere, knowing that it's not going to be an easy return, or you may not get back, has been one of the challenges that I've
Challenges. Yes,
faced. Yeah.
yes, of course, of course. Because even I can understand that, because till today, when the person comes to pick up the waste, which is segregated at my place, every month or every 15-20 days when he comes, I will ask him, are you going to keep it segregated and do something about it, or you're
Right.
just going from here and putting again back in and mixing it and just throwing it away?
Yeah.
So he said, no, you can call my boss and you can ask him and you can come and visit my place and you can see what we are doing about it. So then now they're growing very largely. So I believe that they are doing the right thing in their own sector. But yes, throwing the plastic, which is very important, I want to emphasize this. What just now Sankalita said is not just throwing away, especially your bottles, your oil bottles, your shampoo bottles, your cream bottles. So when I started to wash them and throw, my domestic help was saying, why are you doing this? Are we going to keep these bottles? I said, no, I have to throw. So then she said, why I have to, we need to wash it and throw? I said, because when they have to collect and they will do something about it, they will have so many bottles, thousands and thousands of bottles. Do you think they will have time to do it? If we don't have time to wash our one bottle, how will they have time to wash that thousands of bottles? So now they have also understood, and they said we also do like that at our homes also. We wash our bottles and then only we throw them. So yeah, this is very, very important for everybody who is listening. Please, when you are throwing your bottles of plastic, of shampoos, your oils, your creams and everything, please wash them and throw. Yes. So now, Sanklita, that you have mentioned about your endeavor, how actually is this impacting the society around you? Like, how much impact have you been able to create in this field, and how do you inspire people around you?
I think from the time that I started in 2020 till now, also that's so like a little 3 years, I would say. Uh, I think I was met with a lot more skepticism that time in 2020. But over the years, also, I think because of the lot of media attention that this problem has received, and that, because climate change has now become such a mainstream discourse, rather than something which was at the sidelines, the awareness and the attitudes of people have definitely changed. There is much more awareness. There is lesser. So initially, like, I think what in terms of impact, I would say that initially when I used to talk to people, it was like I think I was exhausting myself, explaining the whole thing as to why it's important. Why are we talking about segregation? How does it help? Why should you do it? The logic for it, the why should it take your time? And I used to feel that because I'm talking about it and I'm thinking to myself also, it's so exhausting. But
Hmm.
now I find that the impact is in the sense that I don't have to give them the entire background, the logic every time. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's very much now easier just to say, okay, you need to segregate your waste. And, you know, because if you don't, then the plastic finds its way into the oceans and the food that you eat. And because there's so much more things happening, you know, and so much more
Yeah. Yeah.
awareness. So
Absolutely.
that's an impact that I feel that people are definitely more aware. I'm not exhausting myself in talking about it. We have had now, initially it was us reaching out to people. Now many people are reaching out to us. They're actually wanting to find people who can collect segregated waste from the doorsteps. People are actively looking for,
Mm.
those kind of things. For every kg of plastic that we are collecting and we are sort of segregating and then making sure it stays away from the oceans, we are contributing so much there. We're also contributing to the fact that the recyclers are now getting good aggregated plastics, which sort of
Mm.
makes recycling easier for them, which gives them livelihoods as well. And
Absolutely.
we are also trying to sort of create awareness about products that are made out of waste, you know,
Mm.
because again, if you recycle it and you make it into products, you need to have people who are okay with using those products,
Yes,
you know,
actually.
something that's being made out of waste. So that's
Correct.
another area recently that we've really sort of working with, especially because when we collect from households, the difference between us and maybe your house help taking away your plastic and selling it is that we say we take all plastic. So it could be
Yeah.
your chips packets, it could be your atta packet, it could be your Tetra packs, and
Yes.
and anything, you know, because that's the whole idea. But
Yeah.
then we also know that many of these are not easily recyclable or they are hard
Yeah.
to recycle. So
Right.
we've had lots of stuff that because if we collect it and then throw it away in the landfills, we are defeating the purpose. So we've been
Absolutely.
experimenting a lot, finding out people who are innovators, who can work with,
Mm.
chips packets, multi-layer plastics, who can work with Tetra packs, and then
Mm.
helping them that the products that they make to create visibility for those products.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
something that we've recently, so that the whole chain or the whole circle is actually done, because we can't go to households and say, okay, I'm going to take only your PET bottles, which is
Yeah.
like high value plastics, which anyway your household staff is going and selling it away. And we are
Correct.
okay with that. We want the other plastics which you are not able to, which your household is
Help.
not able to sell, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
that's the impact, that where we tell people that, or we educate them also about the kind of plastics, because
Yes.
again, when we say plastic, the only thing probably that comes into mind is, which is something very obvious, like maybe a bottle of water, maybe the shampoo bottle, maybe
Yes.
things like that. Something like your noodle packet, or maybe your chips packets, your toffee wrappers, even your, medicine strips. All of
Yes.
them have plastic, even your toys, you know, even the
Yes.
awareness about buying lesser toys,
Yeah.
which are
Your
plastic.
brushes. Yeah. Brushes. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm.
So those kind of things, I think awareness, even what is plastics, is
Yeah.
starting from the impact that we've created in creating this understanding, to, you know, making sure that we intervene throughout the entire chain. We take
Yeah.
all plastics, to the impact creating about finding out solutions for the hard to recycle plastics is our impact. And recently we've started also, working with children. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
was just
that's
about to
been.
ask you that we have mentioned so much about those awareness programs. So please shed some light on that also, that how you are catering, because children are the ones who actually are going to inherit this planet.
Yes.
If they are not aware of their responsibility or their contribution, then we are defeating the purpose once again. So
Yeah.
please share about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's what happened. So, you know, of course, we did a lot of awareness sessions with, say, even starting with the household staff, you know, because in Dhaka and Bangladesh particularly, it's usually the household staff that deals with waste. So we said, okay, we'll educate them
Mm.
about waste, you know. We
Mm.
have also educated a lot of housekeeping staff, maybe in restaurants, hotels,
Yeah.
who are
Yeah.
educated in housekeeping, hospitality, but not waste management, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And then, of course, we started sort of holding sessions in schools. We've
Mm.
approached that, okay, you know, children need to learn that. And it was an amazing experience, because the kids are still, they are like sponges, you know, and they give you back so much.
Yeah.
So many ideas, so open they are. I met with least amount of skepticism with this age group, unlike my peers who I used to meet with a lot of skepticism earlier. So that interaction started. And then I also felt that if I'm doing a one-off awareness session, it's great, I enjoy it. But at the same time, we are not leaving the children with anything actually. Like the
Yes.
conversation ends there, so that's
Yeah.
why I have something about awareness sessions, one-off awareness sessions. They only serve that much purpose. There
Right.
is no, because behavior change does not happen overnight, right?
Absolutely.
Today people will hear us, and hopefully it will be the 10th time that they have heard it, maybe in their entire journey. And then there'll be somebody more after us who will come also and tell them. And then that behavior change will happen, right? So
Absolutely.
your podcast is one way when people will learn, and I'm sure they've heard something before and something they'll hear after, and everything combined will lead to that behavior change. So
Correct.
even children, I felt that just one off was not enough. So then I also worked on having a sort of like a curriculum based kind of awareness sessions where we would talk a little more deeply about things like waste. Where does your waste go? What journey does a waste have? How does it reach our oceans? And also sort of have questions around what we can do, rather than saying what is not being done, but sort of
Correct.
making it,
Yes.
like
The
a call to
action.
action.
Call to
Exactly.
action. Yeah.
So
And that
that
is
has been a part which has just happened since a year and a half. But I think I'm enjoying this a lot, these sessions, these workshops that I'm doing with kids, because not only are they very open, not only are they very receptive, but they also come back with such brilliant ideas, and they give a lot of hope that all
absolutely.
is
And
not
also
lost.
because of their curiosity, that curiosity which they have about everything, that is the key.
Correct.
When we are
Yeah.
catering to their curiosity about telling so much, they will absorb very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that part of my journey, I think, has been really, really fulfilling, and I really want to take it to as many children as possible. And as I said, in an involvement which is much more deeper than just like one of awareness sessions, because they are the ones, as you said, who's going to inherit the planet. And they are very much aware. I mean, I think my generation was like not so aware, and we were only thinking about it on the fringes.
Mm.
It was never a mainstream in our minds. It was not also something that we wanted to study about. But now, you have more courses, more awareness around these subjects than we had. Yes.
Absolutely. And why I'm saying this is because in our generation, or probably a little further than in your generation, we didn't have that much of waste. We didn't have that much of plastic around. So that is why we it didn't have that much of courses to manage all of this, because now actually it is more. No, the technological waste, the e-waste which is generated now was not there. Everybody didn't have. There was one telephone on in the home which was sitting on the table somewhere, and nobody else had the phone. No, and there was no plastic bottles. There were no plastic bags. Nothing of that was generated at home, that they had to have courses to manage those plastics or something else. But now that they have generated so much of waste, so now they have to bring out the courses how to manage that waste. So obviously it goes in that way. Yeah, but wonderfully well that you are going and catering even to the every link of the chain. I really appreciate that, how you're not stopping at one thing. No, you are linking, even getting to be aware of the products that people are making, and you are even able telling that also to the people that this is available. You can buy this, to have that kind of a circle economy which we talk about, that the material can have the reuse part of that, the recycle and the reuse part of each product that we are generating. Now that we I have understood about the impact, I would also like, we've also shared about a lot of practical implications and practical uses. But again, I will ask you in gist, how as an ordinary person, you have been exemplary. You have taken it through your entrepreneurial journey, whatever you have done, but not everybody will take it to that level. So as an individual, probably as a housewife or homemaker, or an individual in an office, how can an individual really help in this part?
Yeah, I mean that is something, yeah, I get asked a lot because it's not always possible to do things maybe at a large scale or institutional level. And small, but we know that small changes make a big difference.
Yes.
So starting from our households, and one thing I just wanted to say that you were talking about a lot of waste now that we generate, e-waste and stuff, and we actually have a International Day of Zero Waste coming up on March 30th, which is
Hmm.
sort of decided by the UN, and
Hmm.
it's the second year of celebration, and it talks about waste and how we should be responsible in production as well as consumption.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think that's actually the gist when I would say that what we can do as individuals, since we are the if we are the consumers, then it's responsible consumption. I'm
Yes.
not saying that plastic is bad, or I'm not
Yeah.
saying that any kind of material is bad, because plastic has amazing qualities.
Yeah.
It's durable, it's waterproof, it's light, it's cheap. But it's very important how we consume it.
Yeah.
If we consume it once and just throw it away, or
Hmm.
if we consume more in quantity than is actually needed,
Correct.
or if we are not sure, or if we don't dispose it off correctly, that
Yeah.
is separately so that it can be recycled, that's where the problem starts. So
Right.
I think beginning from being mindful that I'm buying this plastic because I need it,
Hmm.
okay, but I'm going to make it go that extra mile. If it's a
Hmm.
plastic container, can I reuse it?
Yeah.
Or can I replace this plastic with something else?
Right.
Okay, so even something like, suppose if you're taking a body wash which comes in a plastic company, can I switch back to soap? There was a
Hmm.
time when we used to use soap bars, and then
Yeah.
because of convenience, we switched to these body shops that come in, or sort of body scrubs that come in big containers. And those, again, we are buying the containers again and again.
Yeah.
The bar of soap, it has less packaging. So
Yes.
nowadays we also have paper packaging. It
Yeah.
lasts longer, you
Yeah.
know. So this a small tweak, which in my life as well. Initially, I was using a bar of soap. Then I had switched to these things that came in big containers, and now I'm
Yeah.
back to using soap.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's something we can do simply.
Absolutely.
So we had a session last week at a park where we had kids come to our table, and we were speaking to them about plastic and consumption. And we had this toothbrush that we had, and we said, okay, what about this toothbrush? Do you know what happens to the toothbrush when it's thrown away? And that had them thinking, and then they came up with ideas that I will now use my toothbrush longer, and I will still use it for maybe painting or maybe cleaning my sneakers,
Yeah.
things like that, how to make it just
Absolutely.
last longer. So I think the crux mostly is, as I said, responsible consumption,
Consumption. True.
mindful consumption. And if
Yes.
you are a producer of plastic products, then you also need to make products that can actually be recycled at the end of
Yeah.
it, if
Yes.
or can be reused. So it also
Yeah.
begins from there. So today, people who are listening may also be producers of
Yeah.
plastic. That's great. You're using it because it's a great material that helps you in your business. It helps you for your product. But are you making it a product, or are you making it a kind of plastic that can actually, at its end of life, again, maybe be reused or
Hmm.
actually be recycled? So again, in both areas, to be responsible is what I would put it very short. Yeah.
Yes, because we have to understand that we all are staying in the same earth. It is not that
Yeah.
I'm staying here and everybody is, I'm not bothered, whatever is happening.
Correct.
Because whatever is happening in the remotest corner of the world is going to affect us. It is going to reach us in some way or the other. And we know that from our past experience of COVID. So we cannot forget that anything which happens in the remotest corner, we are going to touch by it. So we have to be very responsible, as just Sankita said. Our responsible consumption, our responsible use and reuse and recycle can really make a lot of difference in our life. And talking about soap, I continue to do soap. I am not using any uh, body wash. I continue to use my soap always, and brush. We continue to sometimes we put it in some water, salt water, and we clean that brush if it is getting spoiled after a month or so. That can give another life to those bristles. No, that is a tip I can tell you that from my mother's time, I used to see my mother doing that, to wash those bristles in salt water, keep it for some time, and it will be shining again.
Yeah.
So we can use that brush. We don't have to. use and buy a brush every month. No, that one brush lasts for years and years, for centuries. That brush will be there always. No, so we have to really understand that. Yeah, thank you so much, Sankalita. It was really wonderful. One last message, a bang on for the audience from you.
Oh, last message. I would just say that I think, to go beyond the buzzwords of sustainability, climate change, and do things because that is what you are going to sort of leave behind for the people that come after you. You may or may not be parents. If you're parents, you have a very much cause to leave behind a better planet. Even if you're not parents, you still don't want the next generation to suffer. So
Yeah.
I would just say that going beyond the rhetoric that has now come about in terms of sustainability, or going beyond just all the extra attention that it is receiving, and not thinking that it's going to be so tough, but just starting. I would just say take that first step.
Correct.
It's very easy. Sometimes it just seems that it's so tough, but
Yeah.
it is not tough. The word is long, sustainability. But actually, if you start doing it, and many of these things, I think we were doing it just
Yes.
say 10 years back, or just
Yeah.
say 20 years back. So not that far back. It's not
Absolutely.
historic ages. It's
Yeah.
just like we were always reusing our clothes. We were always giving it away to our friends and family.
Mm,
We were
mm.
always buying less. We were always being frugal. We always had the glass bottles of cola, which we were giving back and getting back the money. We were always using steel rather than plastic. So
Absolutely.
it's not that
Absolutely.
far back. So just taking that first step, I think would yield a lot of good results. Yeah.
Amazing. That is the most important thing, that we can relook. We can go back and relook at our own lifestyle, that what it was as a new generation, especially if we can just see back our grannies and all and see that how they were living, which is not very far back. And they would be telling you, okay, it is okay to use a steel glass. It is not old fashioned or not the in thing that you feel when you use a steel glass or a steel plate when you eat your food, and you have to eat in a very fancy plastic plate or a crockery plate, which also may also be here and there in the mud which is there. But steel glass is so reusable, you can continue to use generation after generation. So thank you so much, Sankalita. We had a very wonderful talk today, and I'm sure everybody would have taken some takeaways from them. And most importantly, they would have had one spark inside, that they can be that one change maker who can start to bring about a change wherever they are in the world. So thank you so much.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Thank you for having me. It was really interesting talking to you, a fellow sustainability advocate. So
Yeah,
thank you so much.
thank you.